Hello guys, today I'm going to install one of these little flasher unit PCBs that you've seen me making up before into our Fendt 930 here, and all I'm going to do is replace the little plastic beacons here with some of these 3mm LEDs. While I have the cab apart, I think I'll add a few of these 5mm straw hat LEDs so that at least the lights on the cab will be up to the same spec as my other models, even if the ones in the front of the model and at the rear here aren't all that good. If I put some decent ones on the cab, it should look pretty good, I think. What I'm hoping to do is use the power lines from the infrared receiver in the top of the cab here to power our little PCB. I'm hoping there'll be enough space in there. So the first thing I need to do is take the cab off and try and take it apart. So when I took the roof off the cab, it's pretty clear there's not quite as much space in there as I thought there was. But one good thing there is, I was taking a look at the pins here on the infrared receiver or PCB, and you can see these two wires, or well, the green and yellow wire that come up to the PCB here, they don't actually go anywhere. And the reason for that is they are LED wires. It says F LED on one of them and B LED on the other. So those two wires are connected to NPN transistors on the main PCB, and there's no limiting resistor. So what you would do is connect from your VCC to your limiting resistor to the positive of your LEDs, and then the ground of your LEDs goes back to the wire which goes to the NPN transistor. So that's the F1 is for the normal lights, and this one on the outside is like an additional set of lights, and it's controlled by this second button, the button to the right of the lights button. So you just control that on and off with that. So that's pretty straightforward there, and that's how I'm going to control the LEDs which I add around the cab. The beacons is going to be a little bit more difficult because there's not actually enough space to add the PCB between this PCB and the roof, I suppose. So what I'm going to probably have to do is put it underneath the light pipe for the infrared LED. But at least for our other LEDs there's going to be very little wiring involved. It's mostly all done for us. So here's the 6 LEDs wired into the top of the cab here. It's reasonably tidy, nothing's crossing at least, and it's pretty flat to the top of the cab here, so hopefully that'll work out alright. Have my little resistor in here. It's 100 ohms I chose for this. Obviously I am a little bit apprehensive of putting as much current through this as I am through the other models, so I'm trying to keep the current reasonably low. So this is only about 20 milliamps we're putting through this, so definitely won't blow anything at 20 milliamps, I don't think. Even if it was connected directly to the microcontroller or output pin, it should be fine. So now if we connect our VCC wire to the positive leg of the LEDs and our signal wire to the resistor, you can see our 6 LEDs light up. So that's pretty perfect. So now I just need to mount the beacon LEDs in some way. I think what I'll do is just bring the 3 wires of the beacon LEDs down along with the other wires in the cab and mount my PCB under the seat here possibly. That might be the easiest thing to do. Okay, so now I have our LEDs here. I just cut off the top of the the plastic fake LED or fake light, and just put the LED on there. Brought the 2 wires down and around. I had the cab put back together and was testing it when I realised a mistake that I'd made. What I'd done was put the ground of the beacon, one of the beacon LEDs, to the ground connection, and the positive of the other beacon LED to the positive. But what that meant was that when the lights weren't flashing, they were both kind of on dimly. What I needed to do was put a wire, a ground wire and a positive wire, and bring them down into the cab where I'm going to have my PCB, because I have a PNP transistor which turns on the power to the 555 timer and the LEDs. So when the beacons don't need to be flashing, they're both completely off, whereas if I had left it the way it was, I would have always had the LEDs on dimly even when they weren't in use. So we need 3 wires coming down for our LEDs, and they're coming down on the opposite side to the wires for the infrared. So our 3 wires come down this side. Okay, so there's the cab back together. We are halfway there now. I'll just show you. There's our kind of work lights. They're working now. I think they look pretty good. It's obviously a separate button to, seems to be a bit dodgy on this controller, but it's a separate button to these lights. On my controller, you have to turn on the headlights before you can turn on the work lights, so it's a little bit different. Okay, we're a bit deeper into the bowels of the model now. I can see under this seat here we have this big empty space, and that's just above the controller here. So all we need to do is stick our little PCB just in across there, something like that. Bring our few wires in, bring the few wires to control it, and that's it. Okay, so here's our little PCB. We have our 3 wires, our ground signal positive. That should just sit in above the main controller in there. Then out from that we have our 3 wires. We have a ground signal and positive voltage, and if you see in here we have this empty slot for the front lifting arm, because there is no lifting arm on this. I'm going to try and solder this little connector to the end of the wires. Hopefully that will allow me to just plug this straight into that servo connector. This is just 3 wires, probably from a servo. Maybe it came out of one of these models, I'm not sure, but hopefully it'll work for this job. Okay, I managed to get that little connector wired, so let me just put the battery on here and we should see if it actually worked or not. Yeah, that looks like we have a connection. So here's our tractor now back together. The battery is turned on, so it's currently in standby mode. I have the controller switched off, so as you can see none of the LEDs are on and it's wasting no power. So I'm going to switch the controller on now, and as you can see, once the signal to bring the servos to life is turned on, our beacons start to flash. So that part of our modifications today is working perfectly. Then we have our normal lights, which are not very impressive, but now we have our work lights, which are much better. So it looks a little bit more like one of my other models now, even though it's using the standard infrared Control 32 setup. So I'm quite happy with how that's worked out. We have our 4 lights on the front, 2 lights on the back, and our beacons all working perfectly fine. So if you liked that video, make sure and hit the thumbs up, and if you have any comments or questions, let me know below the video or head on over to the forum. I'm hoping to sell some of the flasher unit PCBs on eBay in the future, so if you are interested in that, make sure and keep an eye on the channel. I'll probably announce it when I have them up for sale. But I think that's everything for today, so thanks very much for watching.